Growing up, I never got the chance to swim with a dolphin at an aquarium, and today, I'm glad I didn't. Instead, you will soon see me swimming with this pod of dolphins out in the wild for free. That along with many other cool animals. But we had to get here somehow, and that's where this story begins. It's 7 in the morning and we begin the day dropping our boat onto the dock. We won't be coming back for another 8 hours. Before we depart, we have to load up the boat with all of our essentials, and of course, I come to recycle and I turn around to see a duck with its ducklings. Very cute how they all wait their turn, and the last two are very hesitant about jumping off. As I walked towards the boat, I found a dead shrimp that was left over on land, and I figured it could be some free food for a fish. Turns out, I was right. This guy first takes a look at it, confirms it's food, and takes it home. We're now headed towards the Pacific Reef, and we're leaving the Marina in perfect conditions. As you can see, there isn't even a bit of wind. On our way to the reef, we can see a bird racing us on the side. You know you've made it to the Pacific Reef when you see this tower in the water, and underneath we'll probably see a bunch of fish, so let's dive in. As you can see, there's indeed a bunch of fish, and at the bottom you can spot a parrotfish as well. But there wasn't much else to do, so I'm gonna get back on the boat and look out for more fish. On our way to the next destination, something that we would never imagine or plan would happen. A pod of about 12 dolphins would arrive right next to us, and I think you know what's about to happen. I would have to go down and swim with them. I was hoping the dolphins would interact with me, but instead they would just mind their own business and keep swimming forward. They also swim pretty quickly, which is why I had to get back on the boat and go, of course, for a second round with them. I looked around to see if any dolphins would be trailing behind, but before I knew it, they were far gone. And I think we had enough content from them, so it's time to let them be and stop harassing them. We did, however, have our fair share of goodbyes. Our next stop was pretty much unknown until we were right by next to it, which is called a shoal. We didn't even know what this was until now, and it's actually a gathering of fish, so we're gonna check it out. We stopped the boat right on the letters on the GPS where it said that the shoal was located. I swam for a little bit and then I started to find a beautiful reef. Everything seemed cool and normal until eventually I would run out of nowhere into a nurse shark, which was very beautiful to see. Alongside it would be no less than a small barracuda, which is basically blind, so he always gets really close to you to try to take a better look. I was in between a barracuda and a nurse shark, both relatively harmless for their size. He basically swam by and without any fear, like a real predator, just kept swimming along his reef. Later on, I would hand over my gear to my dad and my stepmom so they could take a look at the reef for themselves, and they also got a visit from the shark. A few minutes later, I would go back into the water and I would record these two little fish that just kept following my dad around everywhere as if they were using him for protection. The last thing we would find on this reef before we would move on was a small stingray that was actually very nervous, as we can see from the following footage. After a couple bumps to the head, the stingray finally took off for good. Oh, and remember the little fish that were following my dad? Here they are following the camera, and this time it's me. They actually followed me for a very long time, and they wouldn't leave my side until I got on the boat. I wonder where they are now. It's time to depart now this shoal to go to the next one, but this time we wouldn't really find the reef, just a lot of open sand and about 20 to 30 feet of water. A few hours went by, and just when we thought the day could bring no more surprises, we were blessed with another gift. Are you curious to know what exactly is that dark spot under the water that I'm looking at right now? I'm about to show you. But before I head underwater, I'll give you a small spoiler. And if your answer was a sea turtle, you were wrong. There were actually 2 sea turtles, and they were mating. If you look closely at their tails, they're actually intertwined. And I don't know how rare this scenario could be to witness in person, but I could bet this lands on pretty rare. We're grateful for the turtles. We'll say goodbye to them now. Now we're headed towards 2 to 3 feet of water to cook our chicken and relax in the water for a bit, and I'm going there at 40 miles per hour. To summarize this part of the day, here you can see me relaxing in the water with a storm nearby. Here you can see our friend relaxing in his sleep. And finally, us eating our tasty chicken. Now, although we're on our way back and we're almost at the marina, you'd think the video would end here. But you're wrong, because the marina had tons of more to offer. That's mainly because when we got there, we couldn't actually leave. We had to wait for our truck to get here. So let's take a look around first. Speaking of taking looks around, to my right, I see something over the water, and I decide to take a look. In fact, I decide to sprint over to take a look. Alright, that was more of a jog, but the point is that we got there, and what do we find?
Mira, el manatí está aquí.
A manatee eating a fish that somebody had dropped over. Alright, I also heard that car, so I took a look behind me. Nothing. Back to the manatee. And here's him taking a breath of air. Now this next part is pretty interesting. Remember the ducks that we saw in the morning? They were here again. This time with a male duck going around harassing them. I don't think it was the father, and you'll find out why pretty soon. Anyways, here we got this guy over here, and to our right, we got a pelican who's giving me a side eye while walking away. Remember the duck? Yeah. And check out the little ducklings. Look how lost they were without their mother. They wouldn't even take a step forward, and they just stayed there, clueless. My stepmom tried to pick one up and permanently injured his ankles. Before we leave, I had to say goodbye to the pelican, of course, because the guy is a complete character. As of today, did not bring enough surprises. I can't make this up. A helicopter landed on the marina. And after 8 hours at sea, it's always hard to return back to the noises of the street.
Hello. Sí.
The cars honking at each other, but it's something we have to deal with. We'll be back soon.